Be prepared. You don't know it yet, but you're about to step into a day that may just change your life. December 1st looks ordinary on a calendar, but on a deeper level, it's the moment everything shifts for spiritually attuned people. Most people think it's just the start of the last month, another routine reset, but the ones who feel energy know better. And there's also something else unfolding tomorrow, a shift that most people aren't even aware of. But that's only one part of it. You're about to realize why everything you lived through this year was preparing you for exactly this moment. All those moments you thought were pointless, the delays, the heaviness, the quiet days where nothing moved, they weren't random. Every silent night, every unanswered prayer, every time you held yourself together when nobody saw, it all built something inside you that only becomes visible on days like this. You weren't being punished, you were being forged. Because December 1st is not a reward, it's a recognition. It meets people at the level of everything they survived, and you didn't survive by accident. This is why this day hits you differently than it hits others. It's why the air feels charged. It's why something inside you knows you're standing on the edge of a moment your future self has been waiting for. This day leaks the future, not enough to explain it, just enough to feel it. There are certain days in the year that don't just pass, they reveal. Days where the air feels thinner, where intuition feels louder, where something inside you says, pay attention. December 1st is one of those rare days. It's not a full revelation, not a dramatic unveiling, but a subtle glimpse, the kind of glimpse that can change your direction without you even realizing it. You might feel it through a sudden thought that doesn't feel like yours, a moment of clarity that arrives at the wrong time, or a strange sense that the future is leaning in for just a second. Sometimes it shows up as a conversation you weren't expecting, a dream that refuses to leave your mind, or someone reappearing after months of silence. These aren't coincidences, they're course corrections. December 1st is a thin day, a day where the energy between where you are and where you're going almost overlaps. It lets you see just enough to understand that something is shifting, but not enough to spoil the transformation ahead. It's the universe giving you a preview, a nudge, a reminder that your path is more intentional than you think. This day doesn't reveal the whole picture, it reveals the direction. It's not here to overwhelm you, it's here to realign you. Because when the future peeks through, it's not trying to answer your questions. It's trying to wake up the part of you that already knows the truth. And what's coming next will make that truth impossible to ignore. Everything you thought was ending is actually beginning. December tricks the world. Most people see it as the end, the last stretch, the final chapter, the slow fade out before a new year begins. But spiritually, December 1st flips that script completely. This is not the moment where energy winds down. It's the moment where it turns around. While the collective is preparing to close the year, those who are spiritually awake recognize something different. December 1st is the threshold, not the finale. This is the point where your next chapter quietly enters the room before the calendar does. It's the true inversion point, the moment where endings disguise themselves as beginnings. This is why some people feel unusually restless, hopeful, emotional, or energized around this time. They think they're reacting to the end of the year, but they're actually sensing the arrival of something new. If you felt like you're at the edge of giving up, like your efforts haven't been seen, your progress has been slow, or your path feels foggy, this is exactly the moment where breakthrough energy shows up. The inversion works like this. The moment you think everything is falling apart is the same moment everything is secretly rearranging itself into place. December 1st amplifies this effect. It marks the shift from carrying your year to releasing it, from surviving your past to stepping into your future. This isn't the ending you think it is. It's the beginning you've been waiting for. Burn it. Burn all of it. The illusion, the shame, the guilt. When Venus enters Sagittarius, it introduces a completely different atmosphere, one that refuses to let you keep pretending, shrinking, or settling. Sagittarius rules purification through fire, but not the destructive kind people fear. It's the kind of fire that reveals truth, restores courage, and burns away everything that weighs down the next version of you. This energy doesn't ask what you want, it asks who you're ready to be. And it burns through anything that contradicts that answer. Old attachments you've outgrown suddenly feel too tight to stay in. Sagittarius doesn't let you negotiate with your potential anymore. It brings a raw honesty that cuts through the noise. You start seeing what you've tolerated for too long, what you've been carrying out of habit, and what you've accepted even though it dims your light. And instead of feeling overwhelmed, you finally feel ready to release it. That's why this transit pushes you toward a new standard of self-respect. It removes the urge to beg, to justify, to earn approval, or to explain why you're choosing what's best for you. And for the first time in a long time, you recognize that letting go isn't loss, it's reclamation. Burn it doesn't mean chaos. It means clarity. It means stripping away anything that doesn't honor who you truly are. It means being willing to cleanse your life of people, mindsets, and environments that shrink your spirit. Sagittarius is the fire that sets you free. The fire that shows you what still resonates and what no longer belongs anywhere near your future. With Venus in this sign, you stop chasing what doesn't value you and start magnetizing what does. You stop settling for half-hearted connections, watered-down dreams, or lukewarm commitments. You start demanding alignment, and anything that isn't aligned naturally falls away. This is the sacred burn, the moment your life stops mirroring your past and starts reflecting your truth. And once this fire has done its work, December doesn't just move you forward. It accelerates you into a reality that finally matches your worth. Your gifts don't show up early. They show up right on time. There are abilities inside you that you haven't even met yet, not because they were absent, but because they needed the right conditions to come alive. People assume gifts appear when you're young, or when life is peaceful, or when everything finally makes sense. But real gifts don't bloom in comfort. They're shaped in quiet battles, personal detours, long waiting periods, moments where you felt lost, misunderstood, or out of rhythm with the world. December 1st marks the moment those inner abilities begin to surface in ways you can actually use. It's the day when things that once felt distant or dormant suddenly start revealing themselves with clarity. Maybe it's a creative spark you couldn't access earlier this year. Maybe it's a sense of intuition you used to doubt, but can now trust with confidence. Maybe it's the courage to speak your truth after months or years of holding it in. Or maybe it's a direction you always sensed, but were never able to put into words until now. What makes this date so spiritually important is that it unveils what's yours, not what others expect from you, not what you forced yourself to be, but the abilities that were waiting for you to become resilient enough, wise enough, and grounded enough to carry them without fear. Think back on everything you've lived through this year alone. You weren't just surviving seasons, you were being shaped by them. Every quiet moment, every setback, every lonely night, every chapter where it felt like nothing was happening. That was preparation. Those moments were chiseling away the layers that hid your strengths. They were sharpening instincts you didn't know you needed. They were constructing the version of you that could finally hold the gifts that once felt too heavy. December 1st is when those gifts stop hiding. It doesn't show up as a dramatic awakening or a sudden supernatural shift. More often, it feels like ease, like ideas connecting faster, like confidence emerging naturally, like recognizing talents you used to second guess, like realizing how far you've matured without noticing it. It's the unveiling of you, the real you, the capable you, the version of you that's been waiting behind the curtain, slowly building strength. And the reason these gifts awaken now is because this moment isn't random. It's intentional. It's aligned. It's part of a timeline that was designed long before you reached it, which leads directly into the truth behind why December 1st feels so significant and why you were never meant to miss it. You were meant to be here for this. Some days are accidents, some are routines. But then there are days that feel like destiny. Not dramatic destiny, but quiet destiny. The kind where something inside you whispers, "This moment is important," even if you can't explain why. December 1st is one of those days. It operates like a spiritual appointment, one that your soul agreed to long before you ever entered this lifetime. You didn't stumble into this moment, you arrived. There's a reason this date hits differently for people who are emotionally awake and spiritually aware. It's not a collective shift, it's a selective one. Not everyone feels the significance of this day because not everyone has walked the kind of path that prepares them for it. This moment belongs to the ones who endured the slow chapters, the ones who kept going even when nothing around them validated their effort. Pain doesn't break chosen people, it positions them. That's exactly what this year has done for you. December 1st activates something that wouldn't have made sense months ago. It aligns you with timing that requires maturity, not desperation. And that's why this moment is perfect, because you are finally in the place your timeline has been trying to bring you toward. The reason it feels intentional is because it is. The reason you found this video now, not last month, not next week, is because your timeline is aligning in real time. The coincidence is too precise. The timing is too exact. And deep down, you can feel that. This day represents a pivot point, the moment where your story stops looping and starts unfolding. It shifts you from waiting to receive into ready to step forward. And the energy of December 1st only interacts with people who are ready to cross into what comes next. You didn't miss this moment. You couldn't miss it. Your path and this date have been converging for longer than you realize. And everything that's about to unfold from this point forward will make it clear why this exact timing had to be honored. If you don't leap now, the door closes. There comes a point in every spiritual journey where holding yourself back stops being harmless. Earlier in the year, hesitation was understandable. You were still healing certain things, closing old chapters, untangling emotional patterns, trying to understand what you were becoming. But December carries a completely different vibration. It doesn't entertain shrinkage, self-doubt, or staying in comfort zones. And once December 1st arrives, the universe essentially makes one thing clear. The phase of staying small has expired. The truth is, playing small used to feel safe. It was familiar, predictable. It was a controlled space where you didn't risk too much of yourself. But now it's the very thing suffocating your growth. December turns that old comfort into discomfort, not because the universe is harsh, but because you've simply outgrown the version of yourself that needed to hide. Staying small becomes a misalignment because your spirit is trying to expand, while your habits are trying to keep you in the past. December rewards people who commit, people who decide, people who dare. You don't need a perfect plan, you don't need certainty, you only need movement. This month responds to boldness the way dry forests respond to fire instantly. Paths open, opportunities shift, people appear. Life rearranges itself when you do. Not because of luck, but because December amplifies momentum. When you ignore that call, the universe doesn't punish you. It simply recalibrates. It assumes that you're asking for more time, more lessons, more cycles of preparation. Not out of cruelty, but because that's how spiritual timing works. And if you're honest with yourself, you know you're done with more cycles. You're done repeating what you already understand. You know too much, you've grown too far, and your soul is too loud now to go back into silence. What makes this December different is the intensity behind the shift. It's not whispering, it's not nudging, it's pushing. It's creating a level of internal friction that you can't ignore anymore. When something in you feels restless, impatient, or too big for your old life, that's not anxiety, that's expansion. That's your next chapter, pressing against the walls of your current one. And that's why this day matters so much. Because when December shows up with this energy, it's because the version of you on the other side of the leap is finally available. You're no longer becoming, you are. And this month judges nothing except whether you're willing to step into the size of your own spirit. The people who thrive from this point forward are the ones who choose to trust their readiness even before they feel ready. Because the secret of December is simple. The door doesn't stay open forever. And for the first time in your life, the door isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be brave. And you'll understand exactly why bravery matters so much once you uncover the prophecy hidden inside this moment. You were told this moment would come, but you thought it would look bigger. One of the strangest things about spiritual destiny is how ordinary it looks when it finally arrives. People expect their turning point to be cinematic, a dramatic sign, a loud revelation, some undeniable event that shouts, "This is it!" But that's almost never how true destiny works. Instead, it slips in quietly, dressed in routine, hidden inside a day everyone else treats as normal. And yet, something in you recognizes it instantly. December 1st carries that exact signature. It feels like a date you've encountered before, not in memory, but in intuition. It feels familiar in a way you can't logically explain, like something you've been waiting for without knowing why. That's because this moment has been echoing through your life long before you were consciously aware of it. At different points in your journey, you've probably had moments where you sensed a shift coming. Maybe it showed up as a childhood dream that felt too real. Maybe it was a recurring feeling that you were meant for a timeline you hadn't reached yet. Maybe it was an internal countdown you couldn't describe. These weren't fantasies, they were fragments of a deeper alignment, pieces of a prophecy your spirit understood, even if your mind didn't. The universe doesn't reveal major turning points with fireworks because it doesn't need to. People who feel these shifts are sensitive enough to detect them without the theatrics. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. You're not here by accident. Something in you has been preparing for this exact alignment, quietly, patiently, consistently. December 1st isn't a loud prophecy. It's a precise one. The kind that arrives so subtly that only the spiritually awake recognize what's actually happening. But if you look at your life leading up to this moment, you'll notice the pattern. Every difficulty strengthened you. Every delay stretched you. Every disappointment redirected you. And every quiet moment deepened your intuition. All of it was preparing you for a shift that was never meant to be dramatic, just undeniable. The prophecy was never about a grand event. The prophecy was about you, about the moment you'd finally align with the version of yourself you glimpsed years ago, the version you grew toward without even realizing it. The moment you were always going to meet, whether you believed it or not. And now here you are, standing inside the moment that's been chasing you through every season of your life. It's here, it's real, and it's happening in the most deceptively ordinary way possible. But the moment your spirit recognizes it, everything begins to change. Breakthrough isn't real until it becomes visible, and yours is about to be impossible to ignore. The most astonishing part of this December shift is that it finally pushes your inner work into the outer world. All year long, you've been evolving beneath the surface, in your mindset, in your boundaries, in how you see yourself, in how you move through situations you used to crumble under. But internal growth always reaches a tipping point where it demands physical expression. December 1st is that tipping point. You'll begin noticing that situations that used to drain you no longer have access to you. People who once intimidated you no longer hold the same influence. Opportunities that used to slip through your fingers now seem to gravitate toward you, not because luck changed, but because you did. Your energy is different, your decisions are sharper, and your tolerance for stagnation has collapsed. Breakthrough has a way of announcing itself quietly at first. Maybe you suddenly feel calm about something that used to keep you up at night. Maybe you handle a conversation with a level of strength you didn't even know you were capable of. Or maybe something you've been waiting on for months finally moves in your favor, so effortlessly it almost feels unreal. But after that quiet beginning, breakthrough becomes loud. It becomes visible in ways no one can deny. The people who doubted you, the ones who thought you were stuck, the ones who couldn't see your progress, they won't need explanations. They will see it. They will witness the shift in real time. That's the power of December energy. It doesn't ask for permission to reveal your evolution. It simply does. This is when your life starts catching up to your spirit. And the irony is that the more visible your breakthrough becomes, the more you realize it was never random. It was always waiting for the right conditions. December creates those conditions. It aligns your emotional strength, your spiritual readiness, and your next chapter so perfectly that the change becomes unavoidable. Everything hidden is coming into the light now. And once the breakthrough becomes visible, the fire that fuels it becomes even stronger. December 1st activates the code of the uncontainable. When Venus enters Sagittarius, something in the collective consciousness snaps awake. And it's not the soft, gentle kind of awakening people usually romanticize. This is the kind that happens in your bones before you even have the words for it. Suddenly, you're questioning everything. The way you've been living, the compromises you've been making, the stories you've accepted as truth. It's like your spirit refuses to sit quietly in the corner of your life anymore. Sagittarius energy pulls you into expansion even if you think you're not ready for it. And this is exactly why this moment feels so charged. Sagittarius doesn't care about your comfort zone, your plans, or your excuses. It cares about your truth, the part of you that's too wild to be shaped by fear, too awake to pretend, and too powerful to shrink, just to keep the peace. This energy activates a boldness that you may have forgotten you had. It pushes you to stop negotiating with parts of life that don't recognize your value. It makes you impatient with anything that feels fake or limiting. That impatience isn't negativity, it's the sign that your soul is breaking out of containment. You might feel drawn to choices that don't make sense on paper, but feel incredibly right in your spirit. You might feel an urge to say the thing you've been biting your tongue about for years. You might feel irritated with anything that feels repetitive or dull, because Sagittarius refuses to let you stay trapped in cycles that no longer match who you are becoming. This is why discomfort is rising right now. Growth under Sagittarius fire doesn't feel like calm reflection. It feels like pressure building until you're forced to evolve. And that pressure is sacred. It is your sign that you are not regressing, you are expanding beyond the limits of your old identity. You are not meant to heal yourself back into a smaller version of your life. You are meant to disrupt the patterns that kept you from your expansion. Sagittarius energy doesn't wait for anyone to validate you. It doesn't wait for conditions to be perfect. It leaps because the leap itself is the initiation. This is where you stop shrinking to fit old environments and start choosing environments that rise to meet your new frequency. The sacred rebel inside you is waking up, and once awakened, it refuses to go back to sleep. Peace may leave you. Good. December 1st carries a kind of spiritual honesty that most people aren't prepared for. It doesn't arrive to soothe you. It arrives to expose what you've outgrown. And when that happens, the first thing to disappear is the artificial sense of peace you created just to make your old life feel tolerable. You're not losing peace, you're losing numbness. There's a difference. When this energy hits, you might notice that certain parts of your life suddenly feel cramped or too small. Things that once felt comfortable now feel stale. Environments you tolerated for years might start irritating your spirit. You might find yourself questioning everything, even the things that used to feel stable. That internal disruption is not chaos. It's the beginning of alignment. Your soul isn't asking you to calm down, it's asking you to wake up. This discomfort is the sign that you're stepping into a frequency your old identity can't follow. And that's why it feels so destabilizing. You're literally outgrowing the behaviors, beliefs, and emotional patterns that once kept you safe. They're not needed anymore. They're outdated. And December refuses to let you drag them into the next chapter. You may feel torn between who you used to be and who you're becoming. You might notice that old coping mechanisms suddenly don't work. You may feel emotionally sensitive, mentally restless, or spiritually impatient. This doesn't mean you're regressing. It means your internal settings are recalibrating. When energy upgrades, stability temporarily dissolves. If everything feels like it's falling apart, it's because your false self is finally cracking open. The version of you that settled, tolerated, endured, and survived is fading out. What's rising in its place is a truer, sharper, freer version that has been waiting beneath the surface. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.